The sun of Mombasa rose like molten gold over the Indian Ocean, turning the sea into a mirror of light. Fishermen's songs drifted from the harbor, mingling with the scent of salt, seaweed, and roasted coffee beans from the narrow streets of Old Town. Amma stood by her window with her camera hanging around her neck, watching the morning light dance across the coral walls of her neighborhood. To many, she was the city's gem. Her photographs of the coast had been featured in galleries and travel magazines. Her portraits, in particular, were mesmerizing. She captured faces as though they whispered secrets through her lens. She smiled faintly as her phone buzzed. Another message from a client. Her reputation had grown fast, maybe too fast. People admired her talent, her calm poise, her flawless skin, and the quiet mystery in her eyes. But Amma carried a secret of her own. In the back of her studio, hidden behind an old wardrobe, was a mirror, carved in ancient Swahili patterns, framed with seashells and coral stones. It was beautiful, but it didn't belong to her. She'd found it 2 months ago at a forgotten part of the beach near Fort Jesus, half buried in wet sand after a storm. The fishermen said that part of the coast was cursed, a place where shipwrecked souls whispered to the living. Amma hadn't believed them. She'd seen beauty where others saw fear. So she took the mirror home. At first it seemed ordinary. Then one evening as she cleaned her studio, she caught her reflection smiling back, but she wasn't smiling. Her breath caught. The reflection's eyes shimmered faintly, like waves under moonlight. Then the smile faded, and everything returned to normal. She told no one. Later that week, Amma was hired by Salim Winnie, a local hotel developer, to photograph his new resort on Nyali Beach. Salim was charismatic, the kind of man whose confidence filled a room. He praised Amma's work, flirted lightly, and promised her exposure beyond Mombasa. They spent days by the ocean, capturing golden sunsets, children playing by the tide, and the pulse of the coastal life. But every photo she took seemed to reflect something strange. Faint shadows in the waves, faces where there were none, and lights that didn't belong to the sun. When Amma developed the images, she noticed a shape behind her in every frame. The outline of a woman. Pale, almost translucent, with eyes that mirrored her own. At night, the mirror in her studio began to hum softly. Amma stood before it, trembling. The reflection smiled again, the same eerie, knowing smile. And this time, the mirror whispered something she couldn't understand. A soft rhythm like ocean waves mixed with a voice calling her name. Amma. She stumbled back, clutching her camera. For a second, she thought she saw water dripping from the mirror's surface. The next morning, Amma went to visit Mama Zawadi, an elderly antique seller who'd lived in Old Town her entire life. Her shop was filled with relics, dhow models, old coins, coral jewelry, and wooden carvings that told stories of the sea. When Amma described the mirror, Mama Zawadi's face turned pale. "You found the dhow mirror," she whispered. "It belonged to the captain's wife from a shipwreck long ago. They say she cursed it before drowning. That whoever looked into it would see what the sea sees, the truth beneath beauty." Amma tried to laugh it off. "You mean it shows ghosts?" "No," Mama Zawadi said gravely. "It shows your truth. And that truth can break you if you're not ready." That night, Amma returned home and placed the mirror face down on the floor. But she couldn't sleep. At midnight, the wind howled through the palm trees. A wave crashed hard against the shore, and the mirror fell with a loud thud. When Amma ran to pick it up, the surface rippled like water. This time, the reflection didn't show her face. It showed her mother, the woman who'd abandoned her as a child, standing by the sea crying. And beside her stood a little girl clutching a seashell, staring into the waves. "Amma Guspit. That's me." Tears welled in her eyes as the image faded. She realized something then. The mirror wasn't cursed. It was alive. It remembered what she tried to forget. The next morning, her camera lens cracked. Amma stared at it, realizing that no photograph could hide her truth anymore. She looked at her reflection one last time, and this time she smiled first. But deep in the mirror, the reflection didn't smile back. It wept. The morning after the mirror wept, Mombasa felt heavier, as if the ocean itself carried secrets she could almost hear. The gulls circled above the turquoise water, crying endlessly, and Amma couldn't shake the feeling that their calls sounded like whispers. She sat in her studio, staring at her cracked camera lens. The damage was strange. A thin spiral fracture right at the center, like the swirl of a seashell. She'd spent the night wondering whether to replace it or stop photographing altogether. But photography wasn't just her passion. It was her only way of understanding the world. So she went back to work. The assignment from Salim Winnie still awaited her. The resort at Niali Beach was set to open in a few weeks, and he needed promotional images, shots that would capture the coast's soul. Alma replaced the lens and carried her camera to the site. The ocean breeze tangled her braids as she adjusted her tripod on the sand. Salim waved from a distance, talking on his phone and smiling that polished businessman's smile. When she lifted the camera, everything looked normal. But when she clicked the shutter, once, twice, 3 times, she felt a faint vibration like a heartbeat. She looked at the preview screen and froze. Behind Salim, in the rolling waves, was a woman's face. Pale. Serene. Watching. Alma blinked, looked again, nothing. Only water. She tried to dismiss it. Maybe sunlight played tricks through. She was tired. But when she photographed again, this time a close-up of a young worker polishing wood, she saw another face in the shadows, this time her own. Except her reflection in the picture was older, with eyes filled with grief. Her hand trembled. She lowered the camera. The air smelled faintly of salt and iron, like blood. That evening, Alma walked through Old Town, where the narrow streets twisted like veins through coral stone buildings. Lamps flickered as the ocean breeze whispered between the doors. She stopped at Mama Zawadi's shop again, clutching her camera. "You said the mirror shows truth," Alma began, her voice low. "But now my camera, it's showing me things that shouldn't exist." Mama Zawadi didn't look surprised. "Because you took the mirror's gaze into your lens. It has chosen you, Alma." "Chosen me for what?" The old woman sighed. "For remembrance. You've been living behind beauty, behind your photographs. But the sea remembers everything we bury. That mirror, it was part of a bride's dowry from Zanzibar. She was betrayed, her story erased. The mirror keeps calling to women like her, women who hide pain beneath grace." Alma swallowed hard. "I didn't ask for this." "No one ever does, child," Mama Zawadi said softly. "But if you wish to free yourself, you must learn what truth it's trying to show you." That night, Alma couldn't sleep. She placed the mirror upright again, her studio lit only by a candle. The air thickened. The mirror shimmered, its surface glowing faintly like the moon. Then the reflection changed, not into her face but into her photographs. Hundreds of them, flashing like a slideshow. The children by the beach, the fishermen, the city streets. But in every frame, she saw something missing. In one photo, a girl's shadow was gone. In another, a man's eyes were turned away. In one, a family on the beach appeared happy, but the reflection in the mirror showed them crying. Alma whispered, "Why are you showing me this?" The mirror rippled. The woman's voice returned, soft as waves breaking on coral. "Because beauty is a lie that remembers pain." Alma staggered back. "Who are you?" The reflection shimmered. The face of the pale woman she had seen in her photos. This time, she spoke clearly. "I am what the sea could not forget." Then everything went black. Alma woke on the studio floor at dawn. Her candle had melted to nothing. The mirror stood silent and still. But her camera, lying beside her, had taken photos by itself. Hands shaking, she scrolled through the images. Every photo showed the same thing. Her lying on the floor, but in each image, her face looked slightly different. In one, she was crying. In another, she was smiling. In the last one, her reflection wasn't there at all. She gasped and dropped the camera. At that moment, someone knocked on her door. It was Salim. He looked concerned. "Alma, are you okay? You've been ignoring my calls." She tried to compose herself. "Just tired. Working too much." He looked past her shoulder. "Is that new artwork?" His eyes fell on the mirror. Alma stepped quickly between him and it. "Don't touch that." Salim frowned. "All right. But Alma, you're scaring me. You look like you haven't slept in days." She almost told him everything, the strange photos, the voices, but something in her gut stopped her. The mirror's surface shimmered faintly behind her, almost as if it were watching. Salim sighed. "Get some rest." We'll finish the shoot tomorrow. And Amma, he hesitated. You're brilliant. Don't lose yourself to your art. He left and Amma stood frozen. The words echoed in her head. Don't lose yourself. That night, she dreamed of the sea swallowing her camera, of faces rising from the depths. And when she woke, there was seawater on her floor. The mirror gleamed in the dawn light, its frame slick with moisture. Amma stared at it, terrified. And for the first time, her reflection wasn't there. Mombasa glowed under the pale dawn, but for Amma, the light had lost its warmth. She stood before her mirror, the one that now shimmered faintly alive with whispers, and saw nothing. No reflection. Just the flickering candlelight and the empty outline of where she should have been. Her heart pounded. She waved her hand before the glass. Nothing. The mirror gave her silence. Then faintly the sound of waves. Amma stumbled back, clutching her chest. It felt like something inside her was being drawn out, pulled through the invisible tide that lived behind the glass. She pressed her palm against it, and the surface rippled, cool and wet. When she pulled her hand back, her fingertips were damp. That morning, Amma avoided her studio. She walked through Old Town, camera slung around her neck like a lifeline. The streets were alive. Children chasing each other with plastic bottles, women balancing baskets of mangoes, and men calling from tuk-tuks offering rides. The world felt normal. But every shop window she passed, every polished car surface, every pane of glass, none reflected her. The realization hit her slowly, like a tightening wave. People still saw her. She wasn't invisible. But she couldn't see herself anywhere. By the time she reached the cafe near the waterfront, she was trembling. She ordered coffee, her voice barely steady. When the waiter placed the cup before her, he said quietly, "You've been taking pictures of ghosts, haven't you?" Amma froze. "What did you say?" The waiter smiled nervously. "I saw you at Nyali Beach the other day. You were talking to no one. But when I looked through your camera from behind, I saw someone beside you. A woman." Amma's blood went cold. "You saw her?" He nodded. "For a second. Then she vanished when you turned around." Amma left without finishing her drink. She went straight to Mama Zawadi's shop again. The old woman looked up from her prayer beads, concern shadowing her eyes. "The mirror has taken your reflection, hasn't it?" she said quietly. Amma nodded. "How do I get it back?" "There's only one way," Mama Zawadi said. "You must return what you took, the truth you've hidden." "I don't understand." The old woman reached behind her counter and pulled out an ancient map of the coast. It showed a reef far beyond the visible shore, marked with a small inked circle. "Long ago," she began, "a woman named Nima lived by these waters. She was the wife of a ship captain. They say she was as beautiful as the moonlight on the waves, but her husband betrayed her with another. When she discovered the truth, she walked into the sea with her wedding mirror, vowing the ocean would keep her story alive. That mirror has wandered the tides ever since. It binds itself to women who carry secrets too heavy for the world to see." Amma felt tears sting her eyes. "You think I'm like her?" Mama Zawadi's gaze softened. "I think you've been hiding pain behind your photographs. That mirror saw it. It only mirrors what we refuse to face." That night, Amma sat before the mirror again, camera in hand. She whispered, "Nima, if you can hear me, show me what I've hidden." The surface rippled like water touched by rain. Slowly, an image began to form. It wasn't Nima this time. It was Amma, younger, sitting beside a hospital bed. Her mother lay there, frail and dying. Amma had turned away from her, anger hardening her heart. The reflection spoke. "You left her before she could speak her truth." Amma fell to her knees. "I couldn't bear it. She left me first. She abandoned me." But the mirror shimmered again, showing a letter. In the reflection, her mother's trembling hand wrote her name. "Amma, my daughter, I did not leave you. They took you from me." The room felt like it tilted. Amma gasped for breath, clutching her head. All her life she'd believed her mother had run away. But now the mirror showed otherwise, a truth twisted by someone else. She whispered, "Who took me?" The mirror darkened. Then the faint shape of a man appeared, blurred, but unmistakable. "Salim Winnie." Amma's breath caught. She stared in horror. "No. Salim. The reflection pulsed like a heartbeat, confirming it. Alma's world shattered. Salim, her client, the man who had praised her art, who had promised her success, had something to do with her past? It didn't make sense. She dug through her photo archives, searching every image of him. In some, she saw faint distortions around him, a shimmer, a distortion like heat waves. That night, she confronted him. He was sitting in the rooftop bar of his hotel, overlooking the moonlit sea. The waves glowed faintly blue, like whispers of spirits beneath the surface. Salim, Alma said, breathless. What do you know about my mother? He blinked, surprised. Your mother? Alma, what are you? The mirror showed me, she interrupted. You knew her, didn't you? Salim hesitated. The mask of charm cracked. I didn't think you'd remember, he said finally. His voice softened. Your mother worked for my family years ago. She was dismissed after a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding that led to me being taken from her? He looked away. My father made that decision. He believed she was unfit. I was just a boy. Alma's heart pounded. And you kept that from me? I didn't even realize who you were until I saw your face that day on the beach, he said quietly. You look exactly like her. Alma tremblait. The truth hurt more than the lies. But before she could respond, her phone vibrated. A notification from her camera's motion sensor back in the studio. The mirror was glowing again. She turned and ran. When she burst into her studio, the room was flooded with silver light. The mirror floated a few inches off the floor, spinning slowly, humming like a seashell. Ama c'était pas closer. The voice came again. Now you see what beauty hides. The mirror began to crack. Each fracture glowed like lightning underwater. Alma reached out instinctively. Wait! The surface exploded into light. And then silence. When she opened her eyes, she was lying on the beach. The mirror was gone. The tide reached her feet gently, like a mother's touch. She crawled to her camera, half buried in sand. The lens was whole again. When she lifted it, she saw her reflection in the glass, pale, tear-streaked alive. Her reflection whispered softly, "Now you can see yourself." Alma wept. She took one last photo, of the sunrise breaking over the water. And when she checked the image, there were no ghosts, no faces, no shadows. Only the light. The ocean was calm again. Too calm. Alma stood on the sands of Niali Beach at dawn, barefoot, the morning tide brushing her ankles like whispers from another world. The storm that had raged inside her for weeks seemed to have quieted. But deep down, she knew peace never came that easily. The mirror was gone, swallowed by the sea. Yet its memory clung to her like salt on her skin. The sunrise painted the waves in gold and rose. The fishermen pushed their dhows into the water, calling to one another in Swahili songs that rose and fell like prayers. Somewhere, a bell from Fort Jesus rang faintly through the mist. Alma lifted her camera. The lens, once cracked, was clear again, and when she framed the horizon, the viewfinder showed nothing strange. No ghosts. No hidden faces. Only the beauty of Mombasa's morning. But even as she clicked, she felt it. The faint vibration again. The heartbeat of the sea. That afternoon, Alma walked through Old Town, her camera bag slung across her shoulder, searching for answers. Mama Zawadi's shop was closed. The door sealed with a strip of palm leaves tied into a knot. A traditional sign that the owner had gone to a ceremony or a burial. The silence felt heavy. Alma wandered past the coral stone buildings, through the alleyways where laundry fluttered from windows and the smell of cloves and frying fish filled the air. The world seemed normal again, but after what she had seen, she no longer trusted the idea of normal. Her phone buzzed. A message from Salim. "We need to talk. Please meet me at the pier by 6. Alma hesitated. She still didn't forgive him. Not yet, but she couldn't ignore him either. He had been part of her past, part of her mother's pain, and the mirror had revealed only fragments. If she wanted the whole truth, she had to face him. By the time the sun dipped low, Mombasa glowed in bronze. The pier stretched into the water like a scar. The waves slapped gently against the wood, reflecting the fading light. Salim was already there, leaning against a lamppost. He looked different, tired, almost older. "Alma," he said softly. Thank you for coming. She crossed her arms. This better be the truth this time. He nodded slowly. It will be. I went through my father's old documents after we spoke. I found letters. From your mother. Amma's breath caught. Letters. He handed her a weathered envelope, the paper yellowed with time. The handwriting was her mother's. Amma's hands shook as she unfolded the first page. My dearest Amma, they told me you were gone, taken by social services, but I know the truth. The Mwinyi family promised to care for you. But I saw what they were. Men who used women like shadows. I tried to fight them, but the sea was the only place that listened to my cries. If I don't survive, remember. Beauty is not your shield. It is your mirror. And it will show you what they hide. Amma's vision blurred with tears. She knew, she whispered. She knew everything. Salim looked down, guilt heavy in his voice. My father. He believed she had stolen from us. He was wrong. I was too young to understand. But when I saw you again, I knew fate had brought you back to finish what she started. Amma's tears fell onto the letter, staining the ink. Why did the mirror show me all this? What did it want from me? Salim gazed out at the horizon. Maybe it wanted you to see her truth, and forgive yours. They stood in silence, the waves breathing around them. Then something unusual caught Amma's eye. A glint of silver beneath the surface. It shimmered, a familiar glow. She stepped forward. Do you see that? Salim squinted. What is? Before he could finish, the water rippled, and a wave rose, not violent but deliberate, as though summoned. In the center of it floated the mirror. Whole. Untouched. Its coral frame gleaming under the last rays of the sun. Amma spirit hichit. It came back. Salim stepped closer, but Amma held out a hand. Don't touch it. The mirror drifted toward her like a tide-bound secret, stopping just short of the pier. Its surface pulsed softly, once, twice, like a heartbeat answering her own. Then it began to reflect something impossible. Not the sky, not the sea, but a room. Amma's old studio. Inside that reflection, her younger self sat before the mirror, camera in hand, as if the past had come alive again. Salim whispered, what are we looking at? Amma stared. A memory. In the reflection, her younger self turned to face the camera, and smiled. But then another figure appeared behind her. A woman dressed in flowing white, her skin glimmering with sea mist. Nima. Amma's voice trembled. She's here. Nima's reflection looked straight at Amma. Not at the younger version, but through the mirror, through time. Her voice echoed faintly across the waves. You have seen truth. Now you must forgive the sea. Amma's heart pounded. What does that mean? The mirror rippled, and suddenly the reflection changed. It showed her mother, standing on a beach much like this one, smiling through tears. Amma, her mother whispered. Let go of what you hate. It is the only way to keep what you love. The water surged upward, and Amma felt her knees give way. Salim caught her just before she fell. The mirror sank slowly, vanishing beneath the surface with a single quiet splash. When Amma woke, the sky was full of stars. Salim sat beside her on the sand, his jacket draped over her shoulders. The sea was calm again, the tide kissing the shore softly. You fainted, he said gently. Are you all right? Amma nodded weakly. She spoke to me. My mother. And the woman from the sea. They're free now. He looked at her carefully. And you? She smiled faintly. I think I'm finally free too. Salim hesitated. What will you do now? Amma stared at the horizon. I'll keep photographing. But not for fame, not for others. For truth. For beauty that doesn't hide pain. He smiled. Maybe I can help. The resort wants to start a gallery, stories of the coast through local artists. I'd like to feature your work. She looked at him, uncertain but not angry. You think a few photos can heal what your family did? He sighed. No. But maybe it's a start. Amma considered it, then nodded. A start is enough. Weeks passed. Mombasa bloomed again under her lens. Amma walked through the streets capturing the rhythm of life. Fishermen mending nets, women weaving baskets, children laughing in the spray of the sea. Each photo glowed with an authenticity she hadn't known before. There were no strange faces, no distortions. Only the deep truth of human beauty. Her studio felt different too. Light poured through the windows. She hung her mother's letter on the wall above her desk. A reminder that truth is not always gentle, but it always heals. Then one evening, as the sun melted into the horizon, Amma noticed something new. Her camera, the same one that had captured ghosts and shadows, showed a faint shimmer when pointed at the ocean. She lifted it, curious. Through the lens, she saw a shape moving in the waves. Not frightening, graceful. A woman's silhouette walking beneath the surface, her white dress flowing like sea foam. Amma similed softly. Thank you, she whispered. She clicked the. When she looked at the image, there was no silhouette. Only light scattering across the waves. But Amma felt it. The presence, the peace. The sea had kept its promise. Months later, during her gallery opening, the people of Mombasa filled the small art house at the edge of the beach. Her exhibition was titled, Reflections of the Tide. One photograph caught everyone's attention. A self-portrait of Amma standing by the ocean, camera in hand, smiling as the waves curled behind her. A journalist approached her. Your portraits, they feel alive. What's your secret? Amma similet. I stopped chasing beauty. I started listening to what it hides. He nodded, intrigued, jotting notes. But before he could ask more, a gust of wind swept through the open doors, rattling the frames on the wall. For a second, Amma thought she heard the faint sound of waves whispering her name. She looked toward the ocean. The moonlight shimmered across the water, and just for a heartbeat, she saw two figures standing together in the surf. Nima and her mother holding hands. Amma blinked, and they were gone. Only the tide remained, rising and falling, endlessly telling its stories. Later that night, after the last guest left, Amma walked barefoot to the shoreline. The waves washed over her feet, cool and familiar. She raised her camera and took one final picture. Not of herself, not of ghosts, but of the moon reflecting on the sea. When she reviewed the image, the reflection smiled back. Her reflection. Whole again. And for the first time in a long while, Amma whispered, I forgive you, Mama. I forgive the sea. The tide shimmered in answer, carrying her words away, like secrets set free beneath the waves. If you felt the magic and mystery of Amma's story, click like, subscribe, and ring the bell. The gallery had been silent for hours. Only the faint hum of the night and the distant whisper of waves seeped through the open windows. Amma sat on the wooden floor barefoot, surrounded by framed photographs that caught glimmers of the city's soul. Fishermen under moonlight, street vendors laughing at dawn, lovers walking hand in hand along Niali's sands. Mombasa had changed her. But tonight, the silence pressed against her chest like the calm before another storm. She could still feel it, the pull of the mirror, the ocean's heartbeat calling from somewhere deep beneath the tide. Amma stood, brushing sand from her dress. Her reflection in the gallery window stared back at her, haloed by moonlight. For the first time, it didn't look haunted. It looked ready. The streets of Old Town were empty as she walked through them. Camera slung across her shoulder. The lamps flickered against the coral walls, their light painting soft halos on the cobblestones. She passed the spice stalls, closed and quiet now, their scents, cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, still hanging in the air. The night was alive with memory. When she reached the shoreline near Fort Jesus, the tide was higher than usual, almost licking the base of the steps. The ocean gleamed like a sheet of black glass, reflecting the moon in ripples. Amma whispered, If this is the end, let it be beautiful. She raised her camera. The lens caught something unusual again. A faint pulse of light beneath the water, like the heartbeat of a sleeping star. It grew brighter. Then the waves parted, and the mirror rose once more. Amma's breath caught. It floated on the surface, glowing softly, its coral frame wrapped in strands of luminous seaweed. This time, she didn't hesitate. She stepped into the water, each wave cold against her skin. The mirror waited, patient, like an old friend. When she touched its edge, the world shifted. The sound of waves faded. The stars above dimmed. She stood in a vast expanse of blue light, the space between sea and memory. Around her, images floated like bubbles, scenes from her past. Her mother painting in their small home in Kilifi. Amma as a child, laughing in the surf. Her father's face distant, fading. Each image shimmered, then dissolved into the water. Then, from the shimmering light, Nima appeared, her sea-colored eyes soft and knowing. "You came," Nima said, her voice like music through waves. Amma's eyes filled with tears. "I had to. I need to understand why. Why me? Why this mirror?" Nima smiled faintly. "Because your heart was broken in the same rhythm as the tide. The sea keeps such hearts close." Amma swallowed hard. Was it all real? The visions, the letters, my mother's voice? "Yes," Nima said gently. "Your mother was one of us, a woman bound by the sea's grief. The Mwinyi men took what they wanted, and she paid the price. The mirror was her plea, a promise that truth would find you when you were ready to see." Amma's voice trembled. "And now the mirror no longer belongs to sorrow," Nima said. "It belongs to choice." Nima extended her hand. "You can leave this place and never look back. The sea will forget you, and you will forget it. Or, you can take your place beside your mother. And me. You can keep the mirror's gift alive." Amma stared at the hand, her pulse thundering. She thought of Mombasa's mornings, the laughter of the markets, the warmth of light through her studio window. She thought of her mother's voice, soft and hopeful. "Beauty is not your shield. It is your mirror." And she thought of all the people whose stories still waited to be told. "Ama shulkad genti. I can't stay here. The world needs its reflection." Nima's smile deepened. "Then go, child of the tide. Carry the sea within you, not as chains but as song." She leaned forward, pressing her palm to Amma's heart. The touch burned like salt and light. "Every truth you reveal will free another. Every photograph will open another mirror." The water around them flared with brilliance. Amma gasped, and the world dissolved. She woke on the sand at sunrise. The waves lapped gently at her feet. The mirror was gone. Only a single shell, glowing faintly, rested beside her hand. Amma sat up slowly, her dress soaked and glistening with salt. The city stretched behind her, sun-warmed rooftops, distant voices calling morning prayers. The day had begun again, as if the sea had simply given her back. When she lifted the shell, she heard something faint, like the sound of a heartbeat inside. The echo of the tide. That evening, Amma returned to her gallery. The crowd that gathered was even larger this time. Tourists, locals, journalists, even schoolchildren who had heard of the woman who photographed the sea's soul. Salim stood near the entrance, offering quiet congratulations as people admired the new exhibit. The final photograph on display was one she hadn't taken, not consciously. It had appeared on her camera's memory card the day she woke on the beach. It showed the ocean at dawn, the sky pink and gold, and in the far distance, two women walking hand in hand across the water, their reflections forming a perfect circle of light. When Amma first saw it, she wept. Now, as she watched others marvel at it, she smiled through her tears. "This one," said a little girl tugging her mother's sleeve. "It looks alive." Amma knelt beside her. "That's because it is. The sea remembers everyone who listens." The child nodded solemnly. "Then I'll listen too." After the crowd dispersed and night fell, Amma stood outside, breathing in the ocean air. The waves crashed softly beyond the dunes. Salim approached quietly. "You did it," he said. "The gallery's a success." Amma smiled. "It's not about success anymore. It's about truth." He hesitated. "Do you ever miss her? The woman from the sea?" Amma looked toward the horizon, where moonlight shimmered across the water. "She's not gone. None of them are. They're just reflections waiting for someone to see them." Salim nodded, understanding. "You're different now." Amma's lips curved into a gentle smile. "No. I'm the same. I just finally learned how to see." They stood together in silence, listening to the sea breathe. Later, in her studio, Amma placed the glowing shell on her desk beside her camera. She framed her mother's letter on the wall. The ink faded but strong. "If I don't survive, remember, beauty is not your shield. It is your mirror." She whispered softly, "I remember, Mama." The tide roared faintly in the distance, but this time, it didn't sound mournful. It sounded like applause. Amma smiled, lifted her camera, and took one last photograph of the shell. its light spilling softly across her fingers. When she reviewed the picture, she froze. In the reflection of the lens, faint but unmistakable, were three women standing together at the water's edge, her mother Nima and Amma herself, smiling as one. The photo shimmered, then faded back to normal. Amma laughed softly through her tears. "All right," she whispered. "I hear you." She turned off the lights, stepped outside, and let the ocean breeze carry her laughter into the night. Years later, Amma's work would be featured in exhibitions around Africa and beyond. Reflections of the tide becoming a movement celebrating truth, womanhood, and healing. But in Mombasa, locals still whispered a story that sometimes at dawn, when the sea is perfectly still, a photographer walks along the shore, barefoot, camera in hand, taking pictures of waves that never crash. And if you listen closely, the ocean whispers her name. Amma. If Amma's journey through truth, forgiveness, and the sea touched your heart, click like, subscribe, and turn on the bell **bell*** for more original African stories filled with mystery, love, and cinematic emotion. Comment below. Do you believe the sea remembers us? Waterwave Red Heart.